Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to this YouTube channel. It's your guy Igor here.
And it's your girl Neetu here.
Today's video is dedicated to step-by-step on how to get a mortgage. So if you are searching for a mortgage in Canada, you're new to Canada, or maybe even if you're born in Canada but you're just commenting on a video saying I cannot afford it, probably the chances are you don't even know exactly what the steps are in order to get a mortgage. If you haven't purchased properties in the past, it can be very challenging. So how do you get a mortgage in Canada? What are the steps required for you to get a home? And guys, it can be a really disappointing experience if you got an offer accepted for the house and you don't get a mortgage for that, or you are renting thinking you cannot afford but actually paying off my mortgage as a landlord and not owning your house. So today I brought Neetu, my wife, as you know. She's with DLC Clear Trust Mortgages, and I decided to extort all the information that I can get for free and put it on this channel, guys. Okay, so Neetu, DLC Clear Trust Mortgages, and me, I like having fun. I like just like shopping for houses and do all the easy stuff without going into financials. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty. So Neetu, what would be the first step?
The first step would definitely be
Go ahead.
to assess your financial situation. So to understand what exactly is your budget, what exactly would your down payment be, depending on how much ever savings you have, depending on what exactly would your monthly payment be. You just need to understand how much you can afford. So in order to do all that calculation, we have an easy way that you do not have to contact anybody. Just download this app that's linked down below in the description, and you can calculate the numbers all by yourself. It's just a very simple and easy app that you can do the calculation. But if there is in any way that you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.
And also, guys, I want to tell you that that app is way better than anything you can find on Google, because I know a lot of you are going to go to all those websites with free calculators out there, and most of them are just so simplistic. People come to me as a realtor later on to buy a home, just to bring them to Neetu to find out that they cannot afford buying a home. But that calculator on some website said, yeah, so this app is way better for that. So what would be the next step, Neetu?
So the next step would definitely be to know what exactly your credit score is. Any credit score above 650 or 680 is considered to be excellent, and they all fall in one category. There is no preferential treatment. Let's say if you have higher than 800, you get better interest rate, nothing like that. Anything over 680 is considered to be in one thing. So know your credit score. If you think you need to, if it's less than that and you need to work on it, then you would need to work on it. If you need to know how exactly to improve your credit score, check out my videos on my channel so that you know how to do that. And once you know your credit score, we move on to the next process.
Sometimes, guys, your banking, online banking, can have a rough idea. Like, for example, my bank CIBC right now has that. I know a lot of other banks do the same thing. There's a Credit Karma to give you a rough idea for now, but in the future, of course, you're going to need an actual credit score. Guys, yeah, it's really important. I know some of you don't want to get credit cards. So I know a lot of people who are into religion, into Islam, who don't want to get any debt and don't build any credit score. But I want to say, guys, it's really difficult, unfortunately, to buy a home for cash here. So unless you are rich, you might have to get a build credit score. But Neetu, she actually, why she's here is, she has lenders who work with lower credit score. She works with people who don't have any Canadian credit history.
Or even no credit score.
Yeah.
I even work with lenders who don't need any credit score.
Her contacts will be in the description of this video, just so you know. But
Yeah.
if you want to have like a proper mortgage with lowest interest rates and everything, it's better to have a credit score.
Yeah, and that too above 680. So a lot of newcomers who come to Canada, usually in the first 6 to 8 months, their credit score would not be established. So we would need some kind of different means to show the lenders that you've been paying on time. That's called alternate credit history. So you just make sure you and your spouse have been paying bills over the last 12 months on time, and you know something that you have a name on that you pay directly from your bank account.
Oh yeah. And next step, the most important part for me as a agent who is working in real estate is I always want to see when my clients come to me is one letter and it's called pre-approval. So you need to tell me
So
why do you need it?
pre-approval is very important. First of all, it not only lets you know what exactly your budget is, but with that letter, you get a confirmation from the lender saying that you're good to go with whatever you have declared on your application. So your credit score is good to go. With that credit score, this is the interest rate that's going to be fixed for you over the period of 120 days. And basically just a snapshot of your profile. They are not going to dig in detail on what your documents are, but that's the most important first step for you to not only get to know your budget, but also to provide it to your realtor, which can often help in multiple offer situations.
Yeah, and you can negotiate the price too. So it's like, a lot of times some sellers right now on the market, they don't want to even consider your offers in Calgary without you having pre-approval. So that shows the seller when you're buying a home from them, from my standpoint, it's a bargaining chip. So I can literally negotiate a better price for a home for you. It's more chances that your offer over other offers would be accepted, guys. So it is a huge advantage for you to be pre-approved because the seller who is selling the home, they know you're more serious. And another thing what I like about it is it speeds up the process for you to get your final approval once your offer is accepted.
Yeah. Basically, it's like a snapshot. The lender already knows your scenario, what exactly you've been doing, or your history, and where exactly you work, and all those sort of things. And they have already, 50% kind of approved it. And that's why once you give your documents, it's a faster process.
So Nitu, once the offer is accepted, and with the pre-approval and everything,
Yeah.
before we submit any extra documents, what's the next step that people should do, in deciding what are their options when they're getting.
Well, there are definitely different options, definitely different mortgage products. Like there is purchase plus improvement, where if you intend to do any kind of renovation, you can get that kind of product. But if you're just doing a standard mortgage, you can do that. If there are a couple of mortgage products.
So
So,
it's mortgage types, guys. I just
yeah.
want to simplify it. You have to select which kind of mortgage type because products, that's what mortgage brokers call it. And some realtors like me who are married to one understand what she's saying, but you just have to figure out what mortgage type you
Yeah.
want because there are lots of them and they call them products. I call this guy product.
So there is, apart from those so-called types, there is fixed mortgage and there is variable mortgage. There are two types of variable mortgages where there is adjustable mortgage. It just adjusts the interest rate depending on how the Bank of Canada changes the main rate. So that's called adjustable rate, and there is a variable rate that is going to be a fixed variable rate. So basically, yeah, these are basically all the options, and definitely you have the number of terms, meaning the number of years you're going to be locked into a mortgage. So it can be 1, 2, or even 5 years. So most people go for 5 years because that's the best available interest rates that's in the market. But considering the current market situation, I would
Well,
let
it,
my
it all depends on the situation, guys.
yeah.
I want to emphasize that it can be confusing for new to home buyers. What Nito is saying is basically the term is how much you're locked into that mortgage because it's not United States and there is amortization period which can be like what 25 or 30 years, right? Is it correct?
25 years if you put less than 20%, and more than 25 years up to 30 years if you put more than 20.
So that's amortization. But in Canada, what happens, guys, it's called refinance. This is where you have to get hold of your, let's say you're locked in for 5 years. 5 years, the renewal comes for the mortgage, and you want to get a better interest rate. You reach out to Nitu if you already purchased a home, and she shops around for you with different banks, and you can transfer your mortgage literally each time you have a renewal. It's actually called renewal. You can shop for a better rate. Her contacts are in the description of this video. So what would be the next step? Oh,
Well, that is entirely a different scenario. We are talking about purchase. That's refinance, renewal.
that's a separate video.
Yeah, definitely separate video in itself. But what I'm saying is that when you renew with your same bank, most likely 99.9%, the same bank or the same lender would give you a lesser favorable rate to you when you go into the market.
So higher interest rate, basically.
Yeah, higher interest rate when you go into the market and search and see that there are better interest rates available there for you. So that's called switch and transfer. If you want to do that at the end of your term, once your mortgage is done and up for renewal, and you can also refinance. Basically, you renew a mortgage and also take a line of credit if it's required for your purposes. So
Oh, yeah. So once basically
yeah.
you selected the term, we got your offer. You came to me in Calgary and I submitted your offer. It got accepted. Now we have what is it called? An accepted OTP, offer to purchase jargon here. And you have selected which kind of product you want to use, the rate, the term, and everything. What's the next step for mortgage after you selected everything?
Next step, once your offer is accepted, that's the most crucial time that we would need all your documents, all your most recent documents that's up to date from your employer, from your bank, from what exactly is your status in Canada. We need all those documents. We need it submitted to the bank right away. And the sooner you submit, the sooner you're going to get a final approval.
Basically, she's going to send you a huge checklist of documents that you never knew you needed. And that's what not her requirement, but that's what the banks would need from you in order to get you. What do they get you when we waive off all the financing condition?
Yeah.
What's the next step for that?
Waive off the conditions?
It's a final approval.
Yeah, that's a final.
That's what it matters to me.
Well,
You bought the house. To get that one, that's the next stage.
Well, once you submit all these documents as required by the bank issues something called as a commitment letter. That is the conditional approval. So on that commitment letter, there are certain conditions that you need to fulfill. And once you fulfill all those conditions, you are approved.
Yeah, I skipped a step.
Yeah.
It's the most important part is basically, that's the commitment letter. Once it's signed and your conditions are met,
Yeah.
then you call me and say, hey Igor, I want to waive off my conditions. I'm buying this house. All is good. So that's
That's when you reach out to him. He signs with you the waivers.
Yeah, I send the waivers.
And the waivers comes back to me, and I upload it onto the portal for the lenders. So
And then you go straight to the lawyer. What's the next step actually?
the lawyers, the lawyers conditions is also kind of mentioned in the commitment letter. So before you kind of waive off everything, you also go through the lawyers conditions and make sure that you can satisfy those conditions as well. It's typically, you have to identification, right? The identification proof, the fire insurance, some other extra conditions that the lenders
Like
would
that
want.
you, for example, you're buying your primary residence.
Primary
that you will be living
residence
there,
that you would be living there, and it's not going to be a rental place because the purchase for primary residence, the interest rates and the products are different as compared to something which is you're going to be as an investment property or you are going to put it on rent forever.
Basically, what D2 is saying is the bank, if they know you're making money, they want to be making money too. And they ask you for a little bit more interest rate if they find out that you're actually, trying to make some money here. So the next step, I guess the final step for your mortgage approval is to meet all the requirements for the
Lawyers.
whatever the documents are. What is the most important requirement for the lawyers? I think it's a down payment. That's where you give the down payment.
Typically, like I said, in the commitment letter, it's already mentioned. So you just have to book a appointment with the lawyers. Lawyers give you an appointment typically closer to 2 to 3 weeks before closing is when you get your keys. That's also called the funding date. So the lawyers would tell you to come on this particular date, but before you come,
Bring
they
the
will tell
bank
you,
draft.
they will tell you to bring the down payment, what you agreed on the commitment letter, and what else, the insurance, and whatever is required from the lawyer side.
And the final step is, of course, guys, is the happy moment where your realtor calls you and gives you the key. It's called closing. So closing, it's basically when you get the keys. It's a simple made. So what happens with the lawyer's office is, again, it's most important for it. On the closing day, you can say what happens.
So on the closing days, the funds, everything, if it's done properly on time by the lawyer, you've satisfied everything. The funds are transferred from the lawyer's office, from the buyer side to the seller's side. So if funds are transferred,
And the ownership transfers to you.
yeah, ownership gets transferred to you. That's probably going to take 3 months once to be on the title, I guess, because
Yeah.
the title office are running behind. We have so many people buying houses.
Especially in Alberta.
So that's when, yeah, once everything, all of those procedures are done, that's when about noon to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, your
Usually by
realtor,
noon, yeah.
yeah, your realtor will get a note from the selling realtor that keys are releasable, you're good to go.
Guys, I want to emphasize that Nitu is doing mortgages all over Canada right now. She's officially licensed in Alberta and in Ontario already. I think she's working on all other provinces. I don't know, but she's doing mortgages all over Canada. So feel free to reach out to her for any mortgages anywhere in Canada. And if you need a realtor, a real estate agent, I can connect you with my partners all over Canada as well. Just a quick disclosure for that. So basically, what happens is that on that day, they transfer. It depends on the province as well. I think in Montreal they go to a notary. In Alberta there are two lawyers' office, one of the seller's lawyer and one of the buyer's lawyer, for example. So the seller's lawyer, for example, they get the money. As soon as they get the money, they transfer the ownership to you, and they text. And usually the realtor would contact me and say the keys are releasable, and that's where I meet you in front of the house. Sometimes it can happen just before noon, sometimes a little bit after noon, and if there is any kind of conditions for the lawyer that are missing, like an insurance or something like that, whatever the lawyer need, it really rarely happens. The closing can get delayed. It happens, but very rare, and that's a most worst situation. You get the keys the next day. You know that does that happen? Almost never, if you follow all the lawyer's condition. But if you come to the lawyer and you don't have proof of insurance, whatever the documents are, separation agreements, whatever it can be, whatever is required depending on your life circumstances and situations, guys. In order for that to never happen, I highly advise to work with qualified mortgage brokers and not the Tim Hortons bank employees who are getting paid. They're not even licensed. Sometimes they are undertrained. Sometimes you get somebody who is skilled, but most of the times somebody new, a financial advisor who took a role. They are exempt from licensing in Canada because they're working for a lender directly. So in order for you to have more option and best service, always go for a licensed mortgage broker, like there, right next to me. Anyways, guys.
Well, before we conclude, the most tricky part is that, let's say this is your budget, you know your budget, and we go and you find the houses. Right now in Calgary, there are so many homes under $500,000 that's going in multiple offer situation. So that's like the most stressful part, I feel. And in order for you to be confident to go ahead and put an offer on, depending on the conditions,
Yeah.
right? Once you have a pre-approval, you can possibly waive off or lessen whatever is required on the conditions to make it
Yeah.
a little bit, possibly a little bit more attractive and to stand out in between of all those offers that's
Yeah.
there. So I feel right now that's what we in Calgary, we are experiencing multiple offer situations. People are so stressed, especially for those who are searching a detached home below $500,000. It's selling like hotcakes. You need to have professionals on your side to train you, to coach you, to let you know, the process clear cut and be there for you to answer your questions, whatever it may be, anytime during the day. So
I like how you need to professionally put it. I also, guys, just realized we haven't mentioned one thing, but it's not necessarily going to happen when you're buying a house. Sometimes, after the offer is accepted, one of the conditions from the lender can be an appraisal.
yeah.
Sometimes the property needs to be appraised, especially in multiple offer situations. The banks, when they're giving you the money, all it is, guys, the mortgage is this. A lot of people are saying, "No, I have a huge income. I have all of these things, and I can buy a house just like that." And it's like back in India, we just go in, smash the door, spit on the floor, and they give us a mortgage. But here is like so many requirements. Like like why is that so difficult? I have so much of money. I have so much of this and everything. Why don't I get a mortgage here? But the reality, guys, is all it is that the banks, when they give money for a mortgage, they want to make sure they're investing, that their investment is protected, it's insured. You know that why are they doing all this requirements are to make sure you can afford paying the payments, and to make sure that you are not in a struggle. If you buy it, you can actually afford it. So it's all made to protect the lenders and to protect you as a buyer, as a consumer. Yeah, it's all, the entire system is so complicated just to make your life easier, so that you are not screwed and not house broke once you purchase something. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's basically Darius here. He's our, depends on how well he does in school. He's going to choose himself a real estate occupation, if he's a lawyer or a home inspector or a realtor or a mortgage broker, or a photographer if he's so talented. Guys, anyways, Darius, Igor with EXP, and Nito with DLC Clear Trust Mortgage.
Licensed in Ontario and in Alberta.
Yeah, see you guys soon. Darius, say bye-bye.